All right, it's November 4th. It's getting really cold out here, and I have been getting inundated with questions about what people do with their cuttings once they finally gotten them rooted. You know, they're saying, Mike, I finally, I used your method and I finally got them rooted, and what the heck do I do with them now? Well, I know I made that video back last spring, and I'll put a link up in the corner, whichever corner it is. Thank you, Johnny. I'll put a link up in the corner there to that video, but people are still skeptical. They're saying, okay, you made a video about it, and I hear what you're saying, but I want to see it for myself. So we're going to get a tote here. We're going to stick it out right out in the open, and I'm going to show you that this works. All right, so that's that little tote of the cuttings from the uh-oh video, and I'll put a link up there in the corner. But these guys all rooted good. They're doing okay. We got the Weigela. We even got some dogwood trees in there. Got some Rosa Sharon, some Spirea, Java Red Weigela, Yellow Twig Dogwood. All of these plants, I'm pretty sure the Rosa Sharon will do okay, but all the rest of these plants are cold hardy to our area, so they can take temperatures down really cold. So I'm going to take this tote, in fact, or this little propagation bin. How are we going to do this? I'm going to have to take it out of here or else it'll flood in the rains. But I'm going to take all these plants and we're just going to set them out in the cold, freezing weather and see what they do through the winter. Alright, so this is what we are going to do here. I've got this 1020 tray, and it's just, obviously hollow there in the bottom, so water can drain through when it starts raining. So I'm going to take all of these guys here, and we're going to transfer everything we've got over to this little tote here. And then we'll see how things work out. Yeah, it's going to fit beautifully. Alright. Alright, so we got them all lined out in a tote that is going to be able to drain really well through the winter time. Let's go ahead and put this outside. Alright guys, so we're over by our garden here. We're just on the outside of it, and I've got a couple cedar boxes here, but other than that, there's no real protection. In fact, we're just out in the wide open. Anyway, those guys are just right out. Clear sky, well, cloudy skies above, but no protection. There's nothing to protect these guys from the wind, from the rain, from the snow, from the ice, from anything. And they're just sitting out here in the open. We're going to come back in the spring and see exactly what they look like, if they recovered, and if this is going to work out when they're cold hardy to our zone. All right, see you in just a few seconds. Alright, so we're a little bit further along in the winter here. It is about 30 degrees out, and you can see I'm just right inside the hoop house right now, and just to try and keep the snow off of me, but it's down around 30 degrees. It's snowing, it's freezing cold, and there's the cuttings. They're just sitting there out in the elements, taking whatever the elements will feed them. Frozen, cold, snow landing on them. And there they are, with no protection. So we'll just keep following along through the winter and see how these guys do. Alright, so here we are beginning of December, and there's all of our cuttings. It's been cold. Hasn't been too cold yet though. We've dipped below freezing I think once or twice, but it hasn't gotten much colder than that. It's been hovering mostly in the, I don't know, in the 30s and maybe the 40s, but all the leaves have fallen off, and these little cuttings are just sitting out here in the weather with nothing protecting them. We'll check back. Alright guys, so it's Christmas Day, and I thought we better get another update of this perfect time, because we got a white Christmas. So we've got probably 3 inches of snow out here, and that right there is that pile of cuttings. You can see the mound around the snow there, and all those little cuttings poking through the snow right there, but they're down there protected just fine under that snow. Now, if this doesn't show you guys once and for all what these plants can take, what these little rooted cuttings can take, I don't know what will. So we'll just keep following along, showing you how they go through the winter. Now, we don't get as cold here, of course, as some areas do in the winter time, like, I don't know, over on the East Coast where they get down into the teens, and some places up even further north where they get down below zero. But I mean, it gets down into the teens here occasionally, but these varieties here are specific to our area. They can take the cold, so even though they're rooted cuttings, they can be outside with everything else, and we're going to find that out coming this spring. So let's keep rolling. I'll show you here in a few months. All right, it is time to get this video finished up. So what do we got out here? Remember watching this go all winter? Of course you do, you're watching the video now. But it is springtime now. What are we at? April. Hey, it's 420 day. And these guys are starting to take off. So we got all our yellow twig dogwood, our variegated white jello. We've got gold flame spirea. I've got some pink dogwood and white dogwood that I don't even think rooted last summer, but they're definitely cold hardy to this region. Anyway, let's take this inside and take a look at it. So I just want to do this little experiment to show you guys that these things do in fact make it through the winter without a cold frame. You don't need a cold frame, you don't need a hoop house, you don't need a greenhouse, you don't need anything fancy. These guys sat outside in the full weather, packed with snow over top. They froze hard as a rock. And look at these guys. Let's see if we can pull some of these out of here. I mean, look, I got roots coming out the bottom of these things. Some of them are weeds, obviously. Look at that. One of our dogwood. There is one of our dogwood, guys. I'm not sure. I got them mixed up. I'm not sure which one's white and which one's pink. But that's one of them. And it's got good, viable roots on it. I'm going to get him back in there and take real good care of that one. Let's take a look at all these guys. I got grass growing underneath. Anyway, roots all down through there. Look at that. Let's see if we can get one of these yellow twig dogwood. Boom. Lots of roots growing just fine. We've got our, obviously, the white jello. That stuff, you can't hardly kill it. Tons of roots on the white jello. And you can see the new little growth coming right out there. By the end of this summer, pot that up into a 1 gallon pot. By the end of this summer, those guys will be filling that 1 gallon pot. We even got our gold flame spirea here. Let's see. I don't want to hurt the poor little guys. I think they're, yep. I don't want to pull them out. They're rooted down underneath, so I'm going to have to rip that off and tease them out gently there. But it doesn't look like much right now because they haven't put any growth on. But the point of this video is to show you that these guys do not need any protected environment. As long as they're cold hardy to your area, they will make it through the winter just fine. It doesn't matter if they get cold, if they get froze hard as a rock, it doesn't matter. Now, there's one exception, and that would probably be broadleaf evergreens, because in the wintertime it gets really cold, the winds start coming through, and that cold winter wind is a problem because it can really dry out your evergreens, and that's what can kill them. On these deciduous plants like this, they lose all their leaves, so it's not as big of a deal. They might get a little bit of frost burn at the tips, but other than that, the roots are solid. They bounce back, and you can see I did not have any of that underneath any kind of a structure. It was wide open. You just saw the video, and they made it through the winter. So quit worrying about your cuttings, guys. They're going to do just fine through the winter.